The median airline pilot in the United States earns over $220,000 a year. Senior captains at Delta and United, over $400,000. That puts pilots in the top 10 highest paid professions in the country, right behind doctors. But here's what the airlines don't put on the recruitment posters. Before you earn a single dollar of that money, this career demands around $100,000 from you, up front. And even after you pay it, you're legally not allowed to fly for an airline yet. There's a wall between you and that cockpit. It's called the 1,500-hour rule, and it forces almost every aspiring pilot in America into a strange, low-paid purgatory that can last 2 years or more. So today, we're opening the books on this career. Every cost to get in, every income stream once you're there, the hidden expenses nobody warns you about, and at the end, the real math. Is being an airline pilot actually a good financial decision or a beautiful trap? Let's run the numbers. The dream is easy to sell. 4 stripes on your shoulder, a 787 cockpit at sunrise over the Pacific, hotel layovers in Tokyo, and a paycheck that most people only see in fantasy. And unlike a lot of glamorous careers, the money here is real. This isn't acting, where 1% make everything and the rest wait tables. Airline pay is set by union contracts, published pay scales. If you get the seat, you get the number. No negotiation, no politics. But that's exactly the catch. The entire game is getting the seat, and the road to that seat is long, expensive, and full of costs that never appear in flight school brochures. Here's the career ladder, and we'll price out every rung. Flight school, flight instructor, regional airline, major airline, captain, 5 steps. Let's start at step 1, which is where your bank account takes its biggest hit. If you start from zero, no flying experience at all, here's your shopping list. First, the private pilot license. This is your learner's permit for the sky. Expect roughly $15,000 to $20,000. Then the instrument rating, which teaches you to fly in clouds using only instruments. Another $10,000 to $15,000. Then the commercial pilot certificate, which makes it legal to be paid to fly. Add $20,000 to $30,000 more. Then multi-engine rating, and for most people, flight instructor certificates on top. By the time you're done, accelerated academy programs in the U.S. quote total zero to commercial costs of roughly $80,000 to $100,000. And notice something. That's medical school-sized money, but there's no federal student loan program built for it. Most flight students borrow through private lenders at higher interest rates or drain family savings. If you finance the full $100,000, you could easily be paying back $130,000 or more over the life of the loan. Oh, and one more entry cost people forget: the medical certificate. Airline pilots need a first-class medical, renewed constantly for your entire career. Fail it, even decades from now, and your license to earn is gone overnight. Remember that. It comes back later in the hidden costs. So you've spent $100,000. You have a commercial certificate. You can legally be paid to fly. Time to apply to the airlines, right? No. And this is the part that shocks everyone. In 2013, after a fatal crash, the FAA passed what's known as the 1,500-hour rule. To fly for a U.S. airline, you need 1,500 hours of flight time. Your training just gave you around 250. So how do you get the other 1,250 hours when renting a plane costs $150 to $200 an hour? You'd go broke. Instead, virtually everyone does the same thing. They become flight instructors and build hours while someone else pays for the plane. This is the grind phase. Flight instructors typically earn somewhere in the $30,000 to $60,000 range, often on unpredictable schedules, teaching students in small piston aircraft in the summer heat. You have a 6-figure debt on a 5-figure income. This is the financial valley of this career, and it usually lasts 1 to 2 years. Here's the thing though, this phase used to be much worse. 10 years ago, even after the grind, your first airline job paid poverty wages. Regional first officers once earned under $30 an hour. Some pilots qualified for food stamps. That era created a pilot shortage, and that shortage flipped the entire pay structure. Which brings us to the good news. You hit 1,500 hours. You get hired by a regional airline, the smaller carriers that feed passengers into the majors. What do you earn now? As of 2026, first-year regional first officers are typically earning $80,000 to $110,000 in total compensation. A decade ago, that number was closer to $25,000 or $30,000. It has more than doubled. Some regionals also offer signing and retention bonuses, in some cases worth tens of thousands of dollars, because they are desperate to keep pilots from leaving. And here's where pilot pay gets interesting, because pilots aren't salaried like office workers. Their income is modular. Let me break down the streams. Stream 1, hourly flight pay. Pilots are paid per flight hour, roughly $90 to $150 an hour for a new regional first officer, with most contracts guaranteeing a minimum of about 72 to 85 hours a month, even if you fly less. That guarantee is your pay floor. Stream 2, per diem. A tax-advantaged hourly allowance for every hour you're away from base, covering meals and expenses on trips. Stream 3, premium pay. Holiday flying, last-minute assignments, and overtime can pay 150 to 200% of normal rates. Hungry junior pilots use this to push well past their base numbers. Stream 4, and this one is quietly massive, retirement contributions. Major airlines contribute around 16% of your pay into your 401k, on top of your salary, whether you contribute or not. For a captain earning $400,000, that's $64,000 a year in invisible income. Now the trajectory. After a few years at a regional, you either upgrade to regional captain, typically $145,000 to $200,000, or you jump to a major airline. First officers at majors like Delta and United start around $110,000 to $160,000 in total first-year compensation. And senior wide-body captains, the top of this profession, earn $400,000 to $450,000 or more under current contracts. The median for all airline pilots, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, over $220,000 a year. So the money is real. Now let's talk about what they take back. Cost 1, seniority. Everything at an airline, your pay, your schedule, your aircraft, your vacation, is determined by your seniority number. And that number does not transfer. Switch airlines at year 15 and you start at the bottom. Junior schedules, reserve duty, weekends and holidays gone. Your career is essentially handcuffed to one company. That's a financial risk if that company goes bankrupt, and airlines have a rich history of doing exactly that. Cost 2, the medical sword hanging over your head. That first-class medical certificate must be renewed for your whole career. Develop a heart condition, diabetes complications, even certain mental health treatments, and you can be grounded. Your $400,000 income can go to zero from one doctor's visit. Smart pilots pay for loss of license insurance, another recurring cost, precisely because of this. Cost 3, the commuting life. Airlines base you where they need you, not where you live. Thousands of pilots commute by air to their base city and split rent on what's called a crash pad, a shared apartment near the airport just to be available for work. That's rent on a second home, permanently. Cost 4, the mandatory exit. Airline pilots in the US are legally forced to retire at 65. Your peak earning years have a hard expiration date stamped on them, which makes late entry into this career mathematically dangerous. Start at 22 and you get 4 decades of income. Start at 45 and the math gets much thinner. And cost 5, the unpaid tax on your life. Missed holidays, jet lag, and divorce rates that pilots joke about in every crew room. You can't put a number on it, but every pilot pays it. Let's put the whole ledger together for a typical case. Someone who starts at 22 years old. Money out. About $100,000 in training. Call it $130,000 with loan interest. 2 low-earning instructor years. Total whole. Roughly $150,000 to $200,000 in cost and lost earnings compared to a normal graduate job. Money in 80 to 110,000 a year, starting at the regionals by around age 25. 6 figures for essentially the rest of the career. If they make a major by 30, they're at 150,000 plus. If they make captain at a major by their late 30s, which is happening faster than ever right now, they're earning 300 to 400,000 plus that 16% retirement contribution for 2 full decades. Rough lifetime earnings for that pilot, somewhere north of $10 million. Against a $130,000 investment, that is one of the strongest returns of any career you can buy your way into without a decade of university. But run the same math starting at 40, and the picture changes. Fewer high-earning years before the mandatory 65 exit. Same upfront cost, same grind. Still workable, but the ROI shrinks fast. So, is being an airline pilot worth it financially? Here's my honest read of the ledger. This is one of the very few careers left where the deal is explicit. Pay $100,000, survive 2 hard years, and a union contract hands you a near-guaranteed path to the top few % of American incomes. The risk isn't whether the money exists. It's whether you make it through the paywall, keep your medical, and pick an airline that doesn't collapse. High cost. Real risk. Exceptional, published, contractual reward. That's the economics of being an airline pilot. If you made it this far, subscribe and wait for the next episode. Think you can guess the topic? Drop your guess in the comments. And if there's a career, business, industry, or product you want us to break down next, comment it below. See you in the next one.